What's up, YouTube? This is Mr. Mathematics, and we are live. I am here with Dr. Doom, aka Mrs. Mathematics. Say hi, Dr. Doom.
Hello, everyone.
And my homie Thick Boy from Thick Boy Reviews. What's up, Thick Boy?
What's going on? What's going on?
All right, so we're back with a live review of Season 1, Episode 5 of Lovecraft Country. This one was called Strange Case, and for sure there were some strange things happening in this episode. Who wants to go first?
I guess Thick Boy go first. Yeah. So this TV show was kind of this episode. I'm sorry, was kind of we'll say unique. It was like you said, a strange case. I guess just to bring the elephant, or just to talk about the elephant in the room. Ruby Batiste.
Yeah.
She woke up white.
Oh
I
man.
mean, that's just, let's go ahead
Shocking, shocking, shocking reveal.
and yeah. Let's go ahead and start it off with a bang for everybody that's listening. Yeah. So, what do you guys thought on that?
So I mean,
When she woke up and she was like, "Ruby, wake up, Ruby, wake up," I was like, "Well, who is Ruby?" Like, I didn't even remember. That's how shocked I was.
Dang. Yeah. The wife and I were kind of the same way. Cause we were like, wait, who's Ruby? Same as you, Doctor Doom. I was like, who's Ruby? Oh, that's Letty's sister. And when we
Right,
figured that out, we was like, yo, what is going on right now?
yeah,
right.
I'm feeling a little bit smart here because I kind of did know right away because I was remembering the previous episode where I think she kind of complained she was having an argument with the William about how if she was white everything would have been a lot easier. You know what I'm saying? And
Hmm.
so
Hmm.
I mean I didn't know that there was a such thing as like changing skins or whatever, but yeah, Ruby's name is Hillary Davenport. I thought that was a pretty funny name, Hillary Davenport.
Yeah, they picked a good common name, so that was pretty good too. Yeah, Hillary Davenport is Ruby Baptiste. Yeah, that the way they actually did that was pretty unique too, because it was almost like she was in a cocoon, uh,
Yeah.
which was crazy. Because I mean, she was still underneath fully as Ruby,
Hmm.
but she was literally in like a uh, skin suit.
Yeah.
It's kind of
Hmm.
weird to say it, but it's kind of what it was.
So, what'd you guys think about the that transformation process, the bloody, gory skin falling off?
You can go first on this one, Doctor Doom.
I thought it was disgusting. Every single time, I thought it was gross. We've seen transformations in a bunch of movies and shows, and they're just not so disgusting. So I didn't understand why her transformation had to be so gruesome. It could have been more beautiful, but I get trying to show, being in your skin and being comfortable in your skin and trying to figure out who you are in your skin type thing, and the shedding of it, and like the transformation that she was going through. But it was I couldn't take it when it was drooping and landing on the floor and making those noises, those splat
Oh,
noises.
shit. Yeah.
Not the splat. Oh my god, that was the worst part for me. Is like it was like it was melting off of her, kind of
Yes.
like uh, like chicken fat or something. It was weird. It just was disturbing. And like you could see all the inner tendons
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
the body parts and all that stuff kind of like leak off of her, and it was weird, which is very unique. And I guess maybe I was the only one that saw this, but Ruby isn't that size. So
Right.
Yeah, the
the
differences
skin
in
suit,
size.
yeah, the skin suit had to kind of like conform her down to a different size, and then when she came, it's like she grew out of the Hillary Davenport suit that she was in, which was
Mhm.
it was crazy. So
I also thought it was kind of interesting that Hillary Davenport wasn't some like ultra young, perfect, beautiful woman. You know what I mean? She was sort of more uh, just compared to William and what's her name, Christina Braithwaite, I think her name is. They're both sort of like these, almost like what do you call it? Like Hitler's version of a perfect human being. You know what I mean? And then Hillary Davenport's sort of
No,
like,
I get you.
yeah, that was interesting.
No, I get you.
Hmm.
Yeah, because like if you think about it, William and Christina Braithwaite, they kind of look like they came off of 90210.
Right.
Like, blonde hair, pretty eyes, handsome and beautiful individuals. And they gave her, the woman that looks like, one of the witches off of Hocus Pocus. Probably not as bad. Not as bad, but
Yeah.
like they gave her a skin suit. You think the skin suit would have been beautiful also.
You
Like
would think,
just
right? Yeah, it's kind of an
yeah,
interesting choice.
yeah, like you think it would just she would have been just groundbreaking. Just
Yeah.
like everyone would have been turning their heads when they saw her as Hillary Davenport.
Yeah.
But that wasn't really the case. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that was interesting. But I kind of also can appreciate the little things like that, the little choices where you kind of get things that you don't expect, and I think that was back to the, not to retrace this, but the bloody like transformation process. What, having seen it twice now, I kind of realized that the first time it happens, it's all shocking, right? First, you're shocked that she can look like a different person, and then the way that they change your appearance is also shocking, or the way she changes back is just like, we don't know it's coming, and then they give you, and it's like it takes like a whole 30 seconds for all that skin to fall off, and it's just like, wow, it's overwhelming. So there was a,
Yes.
go ahead.
Oh no, obviously, yeah, it's definitely a lot going on with the whole skin suit, but yeah, we'll revisit that in a little bit, I
Yes.
guess.
So another thing that happened, that I thought he kind of had it coming is we find out that well, Tick finds out that Montross killed the Siren lady from the Two Spirit lady from the previous episode, and he gives Montross a serious beatdown, and I kind of found that to be something that felt like it was owed, because they kind of allude to the abuse that Montross gave to Tick as a child, and so it's like he probably had a lot of time spent, he'd been spending a lot of time thinking about getting his dad back, and he gave him a serious beat down there.
He even said that. He said that when Letty said she was afraid to see him that way, he said, "Well, I thought about it
A lot of
long enough."
times, yeah,
You know.
yeah,
Hmm.
Now,
yeah.
did he also mention that he got a little bit of that anger from the military as well? Like it was a combination of both his childhood and the military of what he saw over there while he was overseas.
So what? Yeah, what I remember. I mean, that may be true, but the point that I do remember, the line was basically that Tick was telling Letty that he was afraid that he always believed that he couldn't be capable of violence like that he didn't have that in him, and then he found out that he did have that in him while he was in Korea, in the war.
Hmm. Hmm.
But yeah, I
That
mean,
makes
he's
sense.
he's also yeah he's also been in war, which I'm sure has been traumatizing to him, because they kind of point at that a few times as well.
Yeah, that makes sense. So can we all just agree on the same thing that we're feeling that blossoming love interest between Tick and Letty,
Yeah,
or is it
yeah,
just me?
I'm good with it. I like it. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
starting to become something more than just like a fling,
yeah,
like they're really starting to become a true relationship, like a you know duo
yeah.
basically. So it's a good thing to see on the screen.
And
It is.
I noticed that I'm happy that it feels pretty organic, that they kind of introduced them, and in the beginning I didn't quite anticipate that they would be together, even though it may be obvious, but they kind of built the relationship fairly natural. So I can kind of buy into it, and even the if you guys remember, I think it might have been episode 2 or 3 where the first time Tick and Letty like make out and everything, but it's not really Tick, but it sort of potentially serves as like for the audience a little bit of a like, as if it did happen, and then it happens, for the first time in real life, and so yeah, the whole thing seems to have like come together pretty nicely. They're a good couple.
Yeah, I like the way they showed both of them being vulnerable to each other in the bathtub with the
Hmm.
bathtub scene in the bathroom. That
Okay.
was nice.
Yeah, I agree. I think both the actual uh, actor and actress in this case are very natural together on screen.
Hmm.
It reminds
Mhm.
me of Lawrence and what's her name?
And
To
Gina,
Tina
Tisha.
Arnold.
Hmm.
No,
Oh.
Gina.
Oh,
I can't remember her first name, but it reminds me of that Gina and Martin kind of feel to
Relationship.
it. Like,
That's real love right there.
it just feels real, and it feels like they're portraying a actual relationship on the camera that you see that's starting to
Hmm.
blossom. I think that's pretty cool.
hmm hmm
All right, I got one for you. How about when this is back with Ruby and William? So she's waking up. She kind of like realizes what she looks like, and he's on his way out the door, and he's just like, well, you know what? You can do whatever you want, and he leaves that potion on the counter.
Well, before he left, they were talking, and he said the next time, and she said there isn't going to be a next time,
Okay.
and then he left the potion on the counter, like, yeah, right.
Yeah, he knew that was coming.
And the money too. He's like, all
Oh
right,
man, yeah.
you get to be Hillary Davenport with a boatload of money. I'm
Hmm.
pretty sure you're gonna take this chance. So she did.
hmm hmm
Now,
But
what
I
she did
love her
with it,
response,
though,
though, right?
yeah,
That she only needed that one currency that she had.
Yes, that was crazy. So there's
true.
been a few comedy shows that have done this before. I've seen an old episode of Saturday Night Live where Eddie Murphy dresses up as a white guy. He's got white makeup on his face and a blonde wig, and the joke is that there's this secret world of being white. You know what I mean? Where like he was getting everything for free and just having a good old time. And I thought it was pretty funny that even in this episode now, uh, that she actually got ice cream for free at the ice cream shop. That was
Yeah, that was
It'll
cool.
forever
yeah,
be a mystery
yeah. Like
to us, is
I
that what you're
need,
saying?
I think we need some of our white friends to like hit us in the
Tell
live
us
chat
how
or something. Yeah, I
true
need
that
to know
is.
like are y'all really getting free ice cream? Like, come on, man.
I know that's pretty. That's a pretty awesome perk if you ask me.
That was funny though. Wow.
Yeah, that was pretty
Yeah, but I,
cool.
I think we can say that there probably are there's some privileges, right?
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
it was cool how they sort of we're watching this show that's happening in the 50s, but there do feel like there's a lot of relevant like current, the white privilege thing, and
hmm
even I kind of appreciated later on where obviously Ruby gets to experience the white privilege in the freedom and protection of being a white woman in the 50s America. But then, later on, Christina Braithwaite and Ruby, I think, argue about how, well, they just kind of have a back and forth where, we both want to be each other type of thing. Or so it's not just like this
yeah,
one sided, I wish I was something else. It's sort of more of a, what is it like to be different type of vibe, which I thought was pretty cool.
yeah. When Christina did mention that, that was kind of eye opening too. She was like,
Mhm.
I'm more along the lines of, hey, you want to be us and we want to be you.
Mhm.
But this is how the world is. And she basically was kind of going along the lines of Ruby, like, hey, keep in mind that you can do whatever you want. as Hillary Davenport. You know,
Hmm.
so you kind of think of that aspect. You're like, wow, that's crazy that she has that much, that much power as Hillary Davenport versus what she had as Ruby Batiste.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And I also noticed about the show that I kind of appreciate that like the character Ruby seems to be much more involved than I think you would usually in other words, like the lead character's sister, but they got Ruby like totally plugged in with the Braithwaites. She seems to be getting the chance to have access to magic now, and she's not just a throwaway character. She's like really
Yeah.
involved with the show, and I mean, she may they may keep using that shape shifting or skin changing potion. We'll see how many times they do that in the rest of the show, but it's kind of cool that she's not just a throwaway character.
So
Can
one
I
of the main
mention
concerns. Oh, well,
another one of my favorite parts surrounding this topic that we're talking about was when she went in for the interview
Yeah.
and he was looking at her resume
Yes.
and she was basically overqualified.
Yeah.
And my initial thought was, wait, did she submit like a Hillary resume? And then I thought to myself, no, that's her actual resume. That's the resume that she brought in before.
Right.
And she was overqualified before and didn't get the job. And this time, she ended up getting the job. And I thought that was interesting that they threw that in there too.
well, they also did mention that too when she was talking to the person that got the job before her, because she
Yeah.
started mentioning like, "Hey, did you take that accounting class down the way?" And she's like, "I
Yeah.
didn't even know there was an accounting class." She's like, "Well,
Hmm.
oh, well, don't worry about that. But also, it's good to show, being a African American woman, be in this position with a higher education." And she was like, "Well, what you
Mhm.
mean? I only have education to the seventh grade."
Seventh
Yep.
grade.
Yep.
And then Ruby kind of looked back like, "You stink. You need to put you. Oh no, your hands are ashy." And she's like, "Wow, like I put in my resume for all this for this job, knowing that I'm overqualified for it, right?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
I still didn't get the job, but you give this person a job."
Mhm.
But I think it was also because, and I could be wrong if you guys heard anything different, but I think it's because they actually mandated that they hired one color person because they got rid of the that
Yeah.
kind of like equal
Yep.
opportunity act, at that time.
Mhm.
Yep.
So they had to hire. I think they just picked somebody up from the street or the first application they got. They just hired that person. So she was just there, right place at the right time.
Yeah. It's
Yeah, I keep waiting to hear what the reasoning for that is. It's like, okay, do they not actually want someone who is qualified and who can come for his job? Would he overlook the person who could take his job and get someone who is not qualified, who they can, control or whatever? I
yeah, and
keep waiting to hear
they
the
ha-
reason.
they didn't say it outright, and I'm kind of like connecting a dot that may or may not actually be there, but also remember that the manager that did the hiring attempts to like uh basically sexually assault, I think her name is Tamara, the
Hmm.
Hmm.
and so it's sort of,
So they're going for a look.
yeah, it's either the look or maybe like he might have like made her do something to get the job in the first place. I don't. It more seems like a look because when he was going after her in the alley behind the bar, it sounded like it was unfamiliar and surprising to her. Like she kind of,
Yeah.
so. But it was just an interesting little thought there, and like you guys were saying, the whole unqualified. I'm sorry, being overqualified for the job. I thought was. I mean, we know that that's sort of like something that is, like currently that's been an experience, right, for the average African
Hmm.
American. This the idea that we may need to be overqualified just to get the same opportunities. So I kind of
Mhm.
noticed that and I'm interested to know if, because for me, that is sort of like I know that, and it's like, yeah, of course that's the case, and so I get that point right away. But I'm curious to hear from people who are not like black. Um, are those points like obvious? Do you know that? Is that like common expectation on your end, or is it just sort of like or is this like eye opening to you? You know what I mean? Is this kind of, I'm curious to know from another person's perspective, like what are they seeing? Because to me, it's like I see the little subtleties of dealing with race issues in 2020, um, even in the show that's happening in the 50s. So it's kind of
Mhm.
So there's another point. Okay, so the next thing that I can remember happening is that Hillary comes outside and meets William, and he kind of like makes her look good out there waiting for her, and he finally asks for his favor, right? So we find out that he wants her to dress up as a servant and go to the police chief's party, right? And ends up she's got to like sneak a, I don't know, some sort of magic talisman or some kind of marker of some sort into his office. But I thought it was pretty funny that by the time she winds up at that cocktail party, and it's kind of like an abrupt change from Hillary Davenport back to Ruby Baptiste, and the
Mhm.
sheriff is like giving him the snap fingers, like bring me another hors d'oeuvre, and she's just like her
She
face.
couldn't use,
Yeah,
yeah, her face.
that
What it's also because she's been living this life on the other side. So
right.
she kind of got a taste of what it was to be white, So she got
Mhm.
the privilege, like you mentioned, the free ice cream and um like even for instance when she went into the store to give a resume, like once again they're on point with the music, so like they was playing Cardi B.
Mhm.
I forgot which one it
Money.
was.
Yeah.
Yeah, money.
Mhm.
Yeah, they was playing that song while she came in because they just you noticed that Ruby had a certain swagger
Yeah.
that she
Mhm.
never had as Ruby Batiste, but she had as Hillary Davenport.
Mm.
So she got to have that ability to be that the one. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? So when
Mhm.
she had to hop out of the suit because William asked for that request to be basically a servant, now she kind of got checked a little bit, kind of like, dang, it was almost like winning the lottery for her, and then taking all her money away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she's sitting here like, man, I was over here just eating free ice cream and living a good life, and now I'm over here
Mhm.
serving devil eggs to everybody. So
Right. And she also got a taste of what their life was like and realized that maybe in some aspects they aren't there isn't much to aspire to. So like in her eyes she was just looking like y'all ain't about nothing,
Mm.
almost, when she was serving the devil eggs, it
Mm.
seemed like to me. Because
yeah,
later
she
on in the episode, uh she mentioned that later on in the episode, like what did she say? You don't want to be.
Oh, she was telling Tamara she needs to get it together because you don't have any idea
Yes.
what these white people got going
Yes.
on out here. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
Yeah. That was a interesting point. I don't want to skip over because at that party, a couple of really crazy things happen. One
Yeah, the
is,
closet.
yeah. I need some information on what is going on inside the police chief's
Because it
closet.
seemed like they knew he was in there. The whole time I was afraid for her, and then
Yeah.
at the end it seemed like they knew that like they were the reason the guy was in the closet.
Yeah, I'm sure of that. I don't know
uh
why.
to me, I'm not even worrying about the dude in the closet. I mean, okay, yeah, that was kind of weird, but let's talk about how the police chief or captain, wherever he is, he takes his shirt off and he has African American skin
Is
that
that
has
what?
been put on his chest.
What
It was
is
all kind
that?
of
What was that?
What is that?
yeah, that threw
I
me off. I was like, hold up. I had to pause with the wife. I was like, wait, hold up.
Yeah, and they do a great
It's
job because
subtle.
yeah, it's like they don't no one makes it a big deal, and it's not quite clear enough on screen. He's so far back in the shot that you really can't. Is like, are you burned or is that actually are you black under? What's happening?
No, no, that was black. That was African American
Is that what
skin because
that is? Okay,
oh yes,
okay,
because they zoomed in to a certain point. It was when they panned back into the room because the dude was trying to scream. He was like, "Ah,"
yeah,
and she was trying to shut him up. And then they panned back to the captain when he was putting his shirt on. And they zoomed in just a little bit. And you can actually see it looked like Frankenstein almost. You can actually see the stitches between his
The
white
stitches
skin
like the neck.
and the
yeah.
Yeah.
chest. hmm So
So was
I'm
he
like,
one of the experiments
Experiments.
of that doctor?
of Hiram
Yeah,
Epstein, I
Yeah.
believe
Yeah.
possibly.
yeah, because he's connected to that house. He's trying to claim it to be his, right? They're all fighting over that
Hmm.
house, I think.
Yeah, yeah,
He
he's
is
one of
connected to the house. Yeah.
he's connected too. So possibly that could have been one of Hiram's Epstein's experiments that they had from episode what was that 4, History of Violence. Um, so that could be it. But I just thought I was more just confused about that part than I was for the dude being in a
Trapped in the
closet.
closet
'Cause I
over
think
there. Yeah,
it was like some mafia stuff. Like he did something,
that's what it
and they
looks like.
mentioned it.
Yeah. Oh, they did
Yeah,
mention it. Okay.
yeah, they mentioned that he did something and they knew it. So they're like trying to like I said, some mafia stuff they got going on with that. But
Hmm.
that just threw me for a loop. I was like, hold up, wait, what? So that was crazy.
So one last point I almost missed on the Ruby and Tamara working in the department store together. Uh, so like Dr. Doom was mentioning earlier about how you know basically or sorry, she's actually not Ruby. She's Hillary Davenport. So Hillary Davenport. It's kind of funny because she has these sort of like intimate conversations with Tamara, where it's sort of like the conversation that maybe two black people would have or two white people would have, but it's happening between a white woman and a black woman, and then but the inner personality of Ruby, where she's kind of like checking Tamara for underperforming. Like she needs and wants excellence from Tamara, which is another thing I think you can experience in 2020 in real life is like uh, we want to help each other have
Hmm.
opportunity and whatnot, but like we also don't want you when we put our reputation on the line to help another person. We want that person to actually deliver. You know what I mean, and to live up to the hopes and expectations, so that like we both end up looking good versus I got you this job and now you're not doing everything right. You know what I'm saying? So that like
Hmm.
that need and desire to see excellence out of Tamara rang true to me, and kind of stood out as another little subtle point there about.
Yeah, I think that came about towards the end, but
Hmm.
for a little while there, I felt like Hillary was walking the line
Hmm.
of abusing her privilege
Hmm.
and being, it's like forgetting who you are
Uh-huh.
and being too harsh on
Yeah.
this other person who doesn't look like you.
Yeah.
And then when she turned it around and started talking about operating in excellence, I was like, okay, maybe she is being hard on her to make sure that
Yeah.
she raises the bar. But for a little while there, I was like, oh, come on, Hillary, you're Ruby, like,
Yeah.
remember who you
Don't forget
are.
where you come
Don't.
from, right?
Yeah.
And they do
Yeah.
sort of mix it up because yeah, when her and all the women are the white women are sort of like in the break room, and Hillary Davenport looked real comfortable. Next thing you know, she's like trying on the high heels and she's dancing. They asked her about Tamara's like, ah, she's fine. She wasn't like bending over backwards to protect her. She's just like she okay.
Mhm. Mhm.
So speaking of that, that's what I was going to kind of jump on. Is I don't know, maybe because I'm a music buff and I just really like how they incorporate music with particular like key points in the
Yeah.
story.
Hmm.
But did
Yeah.
y'all notice how the version of Tutti Frutti was the stolen version instead
No,
of the
Mhm.
original Little Richard version?
I did not.
So there's two ways that it happened. When they was in the break room with the women from the department store, and they was asking about the manager, what Ruby
Mhm.
was. Well, they was like, "Hey, put these heels on, Hillary, and try this out. You don't have to be such a hard butt all the time. And
Mhm.
while she was strutting in the heels, they was playing Tutti Frutti. And I
Mhm.
believe, and I could be wrong for anyone that's listening, I'm sorry, but I believe that was the quote unquote stolen version from Elvis Presley.
Wow.
Mm.
So if we
It
fast
did
forward to
sound a
later,
little off.
yeah, it was like Tutti Frutti. Oh, it was like it just sounded weird.
Mhm.
But that was the
Mhm.
stolen version of Tutti Frutti. And then
Mhm.
when they were outside and here it's like, oh, she's gonna take us to the south side so we can kind of see her part of town. As
Mhm.
soon as they got to the club and they were dancing when she said, "Show me how to dance" and all that, they played the
Mm.
actual Tutti Frutti
Wow.
version of the
Mhm.
song. And I was like, what? That was
That
amazing
was
because it showed,
awesome.
Wow.
huh?
That was awesome. Mhm.
Yeah, because it showed how Ruby was actually portraying somebody else, but still trying to keep her, her original self, in my opinion.
Mm.
So they
Mhm.
played the fake Tootie, and when they was in the department store, and when she was acting like she was Hillary Davenport, and then the real version of the song in Southside Chicago. So I
Yeah.
thought that
Mhm.
was a nice little combination.
It's kind of funny how I kind at times, especially when she arrived in the South Side the second time as Hillary Davenport with her coworkers, th- it, there seems to become a point where she sort of got tired being a white lady. You know what I mean? She's like, she wasn't having fun at the bar, and she wasn't really interested in pretending. When she was in the South Side, she wanted to be. Seems like she wanted to be Ruby again, and then she goes outside, and the change is coming back to her, and she chooses not to drink that potion, and she sort of crushes it and lets it fall, and she actually changes back into Ruby, and I think she goes after. Well, is that when she ends up going after the manager? Because she gets the manager back for what he was doing to Tamara out there.
Yeah, it was after that, but she has a conversation with the
With Christina.
Braithwaite.
Yeah.
Yeah, with Christina first.
That's when
Mhm.
she had that was the moment. So she transformed, became Ruby. She came Ruby again. And then she went and saw the action between the department store girl
Hmm.
and the
Mhm.
manager. So
Right.
then the scene switches over. She's sitting on the couch, and Christina comes out of
From
the,
the
the
basement.
basement. She's like,
Yeah,
"Well, William's the only one with that key."
yeah,
And Christina was like, well, anyway, so hey, so she didn't like allude to why she has the key. Um, and then that's when the whole thing, we mentioned earlier, untapped freedom, so and so and so and so. Then she goes back as Hillary, does a whole
oh,
fling thing, gets them like
sets
thinking
him
like
up.
they got something going on,
Yeah,
and then boom, Cardi B kicks on. And
hit him with the red, the
for
red
people that watch
bottoms, the
it,
red bottoms.
red bottoms. We just say red bottoms just to keep it, PG on this live reveal or whatever.
Yeah,
But when you guys watch it, you just would know what red bottoms is when you
yeah.
see that particular scene.
All I can say is that of all the things that I could do if I had the freedom to do them, that was not on the list. There, I was not ready for that.
No, that was a little jolting, and it just kept going. And I'm
Hmm.
like, okay, like
Yeah,
I get it. Like I think he got it the
he
first
got it. He
time.
got it the first time. He,
And just you just felt the
yeah,
anguish on that man's face
yeah.
um,
Yeah, but
when
what's inside of a person that can make them? How much anger do you have to do that to another person? Also.
so
So
Mm,
this is kind of what I wanted to kind of double back on is I feel that there is a long term
effect to the potion. Like I think, because like
Mhm.
you think of magic, right? When you
mm,
think of magic and witchcraft,
mm,
there's always a yin and a yang. There's always a
Mhm.
cause and effect. You know, when you give something, when you get something, you have to give something in return, right?
Mhm.
No, magic
Mhm.
is not free, and as you hear that in all those like movies and TV shows and cartoons and anime. This is my geek side coming out. Um, so I feel like you know she is getting given something up,
Hmm.
and I think
Mhm.
that's her humility. You know, her her kindness as a woman.
Mhm.
You see what
Mhm.
I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
she's always had a hard time as Ruby
Right.
Baptiste. You
Yeah.
know, look at
Mhm.
Letty. Letty gets a house. You know, Letty gets the man.
Yeah.
You know, Letty gets all this stuff, and she didn't do half as much as what Ruby did. But Ruby's down and out. You
Yeah.
know, she's
Mhm.
struggling. Her music is not popping off like she thought it would. You know, she can't get the job she wants, so she's turning cold, basically.
Mhm.
And I
Mhm.
think this is her being a vigilante, almost like Batman
Yeah.
to her, because she saw what that white man did to that girl, the
Mhm.
manager, and
Hmm.
she's like, I can do this to infiltrate myself as Hillary and get back for you know my
Yeah.
people,
Yeah.
basically, that
Right.
have been done
Yeah.
wrong. Now that could be a long shot, but I think the long term effects of the potion is potentially corrupting her. Because I mean, like I said, there's nothing free in this world, and that's definitely not going to be free with a potion that transforms you into a middle aged white
And
Right.
Letty says something similar in another scene when Tick is basically trying to crack that secret code. She kind of says that she starts saying all this stuff is.
Oh, all this stuff is evil.
Yeah, I think it might have been when
She
I don't.
did.
Yeah. Oh, it was when he told her that Montross killed the siren, and she kind of started
Right.
like breaking down. And so you might have something there, thick boy, because that's been touched on a couple times now.
people. Because and
Yeah.
even Letty was like, oh well, maybe Montrose burn all this stuff because he know that it's evil and he don't want you to get into it.
Mm,
And look how deep it's
Mhm.
taking you. So
Right.
I just feel like I feel like for me personally, I think that Ruby is now going to be a vessel or a more like the muscle
mm-hmm,
for Miss Braithwaite,
mm-hmm,
uh, because if y'all guys haven't noticed, Christina Braithwaite, she has an interior motive. Like she has a major vendetta against the entire cult.
mm-hmm,
That
Mhm.
because basically she was the heir
Mhm.
to become next in line, but she didn't do it, or she wasn't accepted because she was a woman.
mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And she's more powerful than most of them, but they're not letting her in. So I think she has a major vendetta, and she's going to use Ruby as her muscle. That's what I believe.
Oh, so Ruby got to experience being a white woman, and Christina
Mm-hmm.
uh shifts into a man,
Yeah, white
which
man.
is what she wants to be. Yeah. Or
Exactly. So
could
now we're
have
starting to
benefited
put two
from.
and two together, right? And I just feel like the true antagonist of this so far is going to be Christina. We just haven't figured out what her complete motives are because she's been a puppet master throughout this entire season.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for what we saw in the first episode, how she was just driving around town, just dropping hints and just making her way as the Braithwaite to now, where her just coming out of a Williams skin suit and just exposing herself as, hey, guess what? That was me. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. So and it's just like she has such a I won't call it a psychotic mind, but she has a very narcissistic mind because how evil can you be to go as William and to trick a woman that's vulnerable
Mm,
Mhm.
like
Mhm.
Ruby to
yeah.
think that,
Mhm.
hey, I am in this for you and I care for you as William,
Yeah.
knowing that it was Christina the whole time and she sees that in that suit.
So I wonder if she knew what she was doing when she brought Tick to the castle. if she knew that he was going to be able to take her dad down. Like, was that all part of her plan?
Oh, I'm
I
sure of
believe
that.
so.
Yeah, yeah.
I believe so.
And the other thing that I thought about was along the lines of everything being evil is that that ending scene was totally out of Ruby's character because
Hmm.
Ruby is gentle and giving. She gave to Letty over and over again, you know? She's a gentle, giving, kind-hearted type of spirited
Yeah.
type of woman it seems. So that kind
Yeah.
of goes to what
Yeah,
you
that
were
definitely
saying.
didn't seem to be the Ruby that I was expecting to see. I didn't expect
Yeah,
much.
that was out of character.
Yeah. She's turning dark, and
Mhm.
in most TV shows, uh it's always a thing to like to do that, where you kind of play on the kind spirit of an individual, especially
Mhm.
when you're talking about magic and stuff like that. You know, that's usually a common thing, and I think unfortunately Ruby Baptiste is going to be transformed,
Hmm.
because I think the it's not, if it's not the potion, I believe we're going to go back to the whole cocooning thing with Hillary Davenport. I think every time she sheds, it changes her to a certain
Mm.
extent,
And
because
Well,
not only she
I just
it's
go
getting
ahead.
easy. It's getting easier, isn't it? I mean, well, he kind of
Yeah.
alluded to that. It'll get better, I promise. And I guess that's another. Now we know that that was actually Christina transformed into William, and so she's got a lot of experience doing that change, and so she knows what it's like
oh right,
to
yeah.
do it. Yeah,
I just hope that they figure out another way to do it. Like she needs to learn how to shift
gracefully.
without the droop. I cannot do the
I
Yeah.
think the
droopy.
I think the chicken fat is gonna stay, Doctor Doom. I mean, I'm just saying, because like Christina is a pro, and she literally had to go through the chicken fat process
Yeah.
at Williams.
If
So
Christina's doing it, it ain't going nowhere. You're right about that.
that's what I'm saying. Like she's like, okay, so if Ruby's like level 2, we're probably gonna all agree Christina's probably like level 15, maybe 20. So I
I,
think she knows what she's doing at this point. I just think that's just how it is.
I
Chicken
also
fat.
I also couldn't believe when so she comes in the house as William, and they kind of reveal that she's actually Christina Braithwaite underneath, and she does the chicken fat, and she does it in the middle of the room on the carpet. I'm like, bro, that's gonna make a huge mess. Like, you knew it was gonna happen. I feel like you should be doing that. I guess maybe that's what she usually does in the basement. Is just that y'all that's too much cleanup for the situation. Is like you can't keep doing it like this. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, I thought the same. Like, this is overly unnecessary. Like, if you had all that wood
Yeah,
on the way,
yeah.
and you
None of
just
that. You can't clean none of that.
no. Once you drop all that chicken fat on the floor, that's a wrap. You know, that's nothing you can really do at that point. You just got to throw the carpet away. And I know they got some money, but dang,
And
that would look like a cheap rug.
there's a subtle little line that happens earlier in the show, and having rewatched it, I kind of picked up on it where when Christina Braithwaite is convincing Ruby to go into the police chief's office and do the deed uh, to hide that little secret amulet or whatever.
Oh, do
She
you
kind of
care about him?
yeah. Do you care for if you care for William at all, you'll do this type of line. And little do we know that that is that she's William. So it's sort of a little trick play on words there. It was kind of interesting.
Yeah. Little
Which all makes
foreshadowing
sense
there.
because we know that there's some kind of like they're both fighting for that house.
Hmm.
And we know
Oh
that there's
yeah,
some kind of relationship there because she ended up in his office in one of the earlier episodes. So they showed that they have a relationship, the chief and
Yes,
Christina.
yes.
yep, I agree. Um, one thing, and I maybe had missed this when we was talking about it, but you mentioned something, Mr. Mathematics, when Tick was, going through his own anger spell,
Hmm.
and no, when he woke up, I think you mentioned it. He was asleep. He had that dream when he caught on fire, and
Yeah.
from the one of those episodes, right?
Yep.
So it was something that the lady whispered at the very end,
Yeah.
and I was trying to figure out what he said or what she said because I kept
Mhm.
rewinding it over and over again.
Mm,
But I think I know what she said. Now I could be wrong. If you
Oh.
guys listening, you know,
breaking
uh,
news.
yep, exclusive. All right. I think she said, and it's not impressive. Don't just give you a heads up. But I think she said the answer is over there. And if
Mm.
you remember, she was in the room with those pictures. And if we, and I'm sorry if I'm going ahead of the schedule, but when we got to the very end of the episode
Hmm.
with Tick put all that together, and he saw that term when he did all the calligraphy and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh,
He found out
die.
that it spelled die,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
I didn't think about that until now. But I'm like, dang, the chick in her dream was like, your answers are over there in that calligraphy and those notes,
Mm.
and that sounds like it was more also a foreshadow of what we was going to see for that final scene.
Yeah,
So
yeah, that was I mean that brings us to the final point there that Tick cracks that secret code. They show us the word die, and then he immediately jumps on the phone and calls the Korean woman Gia, something like that. And he says he asks her a couple weird questions, and she knows something. He's like, "What are you?" Did you guys remember that?
Mm.
It was really
yo,
Yeah, I was like, how is she connected?
right.
Because I remember she didn't want him to come back,
Yep.
and she was like, "I told you don't go back
Yep.
there," right? And he said to her, did you know, or
Hmm.
something like that? And she said you figured it out, I think,
He
and they
asked her,
showed
"Where
us,
are you?" Yeah, and this is the
yeah,
second
what are you?
time where they've done this, like, because I imagine Gia is in Korea, right? So she's like physically so far distant, right? She's so far away that
Mhm.
in my mind I put her out of the story, and then
I see you with those
Mhm. Right.
bars,
he calls her, and it's
Gia.
like she's right there in the middle of this with the code cracking, and it's
Mhm.
just like it's just kind of
Wow.
really cool how they do that, and like I just never would have imagined that she would be involved. Every person matters in this show.
Yeah.
So this is the crazy part. First off, I ain't mean to cut you off, but I see you, Mr. Mathematics, with those bars. Gia in Korea. That's what I'm talking about.
Mars.
Bars. Um, but one thing you just blew my mind because I actually thought she was talking. I thought that Tick was talking to Christina, but he was actually talking to Gia.
Hmm.
And for the people that was listening, I don't think we went over this, but Gia was his love interest when he was in the military.
Right.
Mhm.
So basically, there was a particular scene where Tick, when they was having that um, vulnerable moment that Doctor Doom mentioned, he mentioned to Lady that he had a love interest
Hmm.
Mhm.
in the military, and that's Gia, right?
Yep.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
fast forward to this part, I this whole time thought that he was talking to Christina, but you're saying he was talking to her.
Yeah. No, they got the code word to when you're getting ready to talk from G is when he says her phone number. He calls the operator, and then he gives the operator all these like weird digits to call Korea.
So yeah, I saw that too, and I was like, man,
I wonder if there's something
that
behind those numbers to even call her. Someone might be out
it,
there, might be cracking that code right now.
yeah, it's probably
Some
there's a
hardcore
video
fan,
somewhere
right?
about
Yeah,
that.
someone's gonna break it down.
Mhm.
Not me. I ain't got
But
time for that.
that makes sense, man. That's mind blowing right there, and that also explains the trailer for next week
See, I
because
didn't. I didn't watch the trailer. I choose not to watch the trailers because I don't. I guess I feel like it gives me.
Well, is Gia involved? That's all I want to know. Gia's involved?
highly involved. It
Oh
looks like
wow,
Okay.
next.
it's happening.
We will
Okay.
just say this because I don't want to spoil anything for anybody listening or either one of you two, but I did watch the trailer, and it's going to involve Tick in the
Okay.
military. We'll
Oh,
just leave it
okay.
at that.
Finally,
And
we
it's
get
Okay.
some answers.
yeah, and it's heavily
Well, the reason
involved.
why I asked is because when you said you thought it was Christina, I was like, oh, well, that would make sense also because, well, no, it wouldn't because he
Mhm.
knows what Christina is. So
Yeah,
he wouldn't ask Christina, what are you?
Christina wouldn't tell that truth anyway. She was a lie, say she is I don't know, Donald
That's
Trump.
true.
I don't know. She would have lied. So so we knew that wasn't it. But I guess I must have just looked at my phone while I was writing notes and missed that key thing, or said something to the wife because I did not catch that. But that was a good catch. But I think next week's episode is going to be pretty epic. Like this episode is pretty good, but I think next week episode is going to be pretty epic.
Yeah, I find myself looking forward to the next episode, and the show is very good. But I guess I'm starting to enjoy the live reviews too. So it's a good time in two different ways there. Um, I think that pretty much covers us for this episode for episode 5.
Mhm.
It was great as usual. All the listeners out there, please check out Thick Boy's channel, Thick Boy Reviews. He's doing. Tell him what you're doing on your channel, Thick Boy.
So yeah, on my channel, I primarily just do just reviews, product reviews, trailer reviews. Uh, Currently, the most recent video I have up is I actually checked out this new vegan spot that has vegan shrimp. Yeah, you heard me, vegan shrimp. It's the craziest thing I ever heard. But check it out to see my reaction on it. You'll
Yeah,
love it.
I like that. I like that vegan shrimp episode. That was pretty. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. You had me wanting to try it. I gotta find a way
Me
to
too.
get me some of that. So, yeah, you guys subscribe to Thick Boy's channel, Thick Boy Reviews. Like and subscribe his videos. Please like and subscribe my videos, Mr. Mathematics. Thank you guys for listening. We had a great time as usual, and you guys have a good night.
Peace. Thick boy out.